Welcome back. Now, our Mondays typically start with a word or two motivation from people who are trained to do this. And Oladipupo Clement is a trusted wealth creation and retention coach with a career spanning 2 decades. He joins us this morning to talk about how to plan and achieve your financial dreams. I love this topic because it has to do with money. And he's joining us virtually this morning. Mr. Clement, thank you so much for joining us. I hope the audio is better now. Yeah, so we're talking about finances and the fact that it's something that we can achieve as you called it financial goals and all of that. Now, the issue of finance is a big issue for many Nigerians, especially during this period when it's a bit tough. And Nigeria, people are saying we're going into a recession. Can you just give us a background on why money is so important and the things that we can begin to do focusing on the rest of this year?
All right, so thank you so much once again for having me. Money is so crucial. Money pays bills. Money does a lot of things. There are many things money can buy though, but money is very important. One of my mentors even said that where there is no finance, there is no romance. So the impact of not having money even affects home. Lack of money affects family, affects nearly everything. But one of the things I found out is that people really don't plan to fail. They just don't plan to succeed. And once you've already planned not to, when you've already planned not to succeed, you've automatically planned to fail. I share this all the time. You can't climb a ladder by accident, right? But you can fall off that ladder by accident. So living intentionally is one of those fundamental things that is missing for a lot of Nigerians. And it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. Money problem is universal, and so is the principle for acquiring and retaining it as well.
Now,
so
Mr. Clement,
of course, the application will have to be geographical and will have to be contextual.
Yeah. Mr. Clement, I know that we don't have that much time. We'll just try and see if we can squeeze as much as we can into this conversation. One of the biggest challenges that I found with Nigerians is that most of us don't know how to handle money because we're not really educated in understanding financial things. So financial planning, for instance, is not something that anybody did in university. So when you talk about planning and all of that, it can be a bit confusing. So can you just give us like a coach us a little bit on this, step by step. All right. So what are we supposed to know?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So let me just briefly summarize it into questions, 5 key questions. This is something I have used over the years, and it's what I use in coaching a lot of people. I'll be elaborating a bit more, at our Global Wealth Creation Summit later on this month. And anyone who is interested to get more details can log on to my Instagram and subscribe for that. It's free of charge. So, by the way, there are 5 key questions you must ask in order to develop a plan for any aspect of your life. And since we're talking about money right now, the very first question you must ask is, where am I? You see, the worst form of deception is self-deception. So I tell people all the time, anybody can deceive you. But the worst form of deception is the one that comes from you. So be very honest with where you are. And that's a question of location. Number 2 is, where am I headed? Where am I going? Financially speaking. So you describe exactly where you are right now. Financially, do you have a job? Are you underpaid or overpaid? Or whatever the issue is, describe what do you owe? Who do you owe? And then exactly where are you going? And then number 3, I beg your pardon, is, how do I get there? This is the question of route. What path do you want to follow? And then what resources do I need to get there? This is the question of vehicle. And number 5 is, when I get there, what must I do to retain and sustain what I've attained? And this is these are 5 critical questions. If I take time, I would only be able to even elaborate on just one here on the show. So, but asking these 5 key questions would help to navigate. All right. So then again, when it comes to the issue of vehicle, we're talking about resources, the number of resources that one can leverage on to arrive at the wealthy place. The wealthy place exists, and everybody can journey there. And there are a number of factors. I mean, because we are pressed with time, I don't know. Now, you can't say much.
Yeah, I do understand. Now, for someone who, coming out of this global pandemic and, sort of starting afresh and all of that, let's say you just secured a job. It's not such a well-paying job, but at least it's something that can help you survive, essentially. How do you plan? Yeah. How do you say, these are some of the things that I want to achieve? Do I start thinking about investing some of the funds? Do I save? Okay. How do I then have specific financial goals that I can start working towards?
Excellent. All right. So that's a very good question. Now, what I usually say to people, especially who are just starting, fresh graduate, just getting a job and all of that, the number one investment you have to make is investment in yourself. There's a connection between what you learn and what you earn. If you learn enough, you will earn enough. So if you're not happy with what you are earning, then something's fundamentally wrong with what you have learned. That you have gone through 4 walls of university doesn't mean you are adequately prepared for the workplace. And whatever amount of money you are getting right now is often a reflection of how much of skill, how much of capacity you have built over the years. And so if you further break it down per hour hourly income, then you realize that you really are being underpaid. So, but the point is, the number one thing most people must do is invest in themselves, go for seminars, read books on finance, right? Then number 2 is, no matter how low, how small the income is, the rule of creating wealth is that rich people, invest first and spend whatever is left. Poor people, on the other hand, they spend first and invest whatever is left, if there is anything at all. So the rule is you prioritize saving first, investing first, no matter how small it is. I tell people, if you can't save on 100,000 naira salary, it will be difficult for you to save on 1 million. And if you do that consistently over time, you have built the resilience to retain cash by way of emergency fund that will help you to access opportunities and also address emergencies that may otherwise throw you off balance. But because people live so carelessly, they put their needs first rather than their future first. And that's usually, and even if you invest or save 10% into an account that you do not have online access to, it will give you that discipline. And there are all kinds of apps today, all kinds. I don't want to begin to advertise for different platforms. I mean, there are all kinds of apps that can automate your savings and then will restrict your withdrawing from that account to ensure discipline. And that's one critical thing that people must do, no matter the level you are. You see, the essence of savings, right, is not essentially because of the amount of money you are putting aside, but the discipline it inculcates, the ability to postpone gratification is something that a lot of Nigerians don't have. All right, and we're always looking for get-rich-quick schemes, and that's why we fall into all those kind of scams and stuff like that.
Wow, thank you so much, Oladipupo Clement, for joining us this morning, talking about this.
Thank you for having me.
Very, very important. No matter what you earn, no matter how small it is, you should be able to put something away for savings and investment. Oladipupo Clement there, giving us some solid advice financially. And we're heading over to the kitchen now with more with Titi.